All right, guys, today we're going to talk about G-Flux again, and I'm going a little bit more in depth. I'm going to link the original video about G-Flux below. Go ahead and watch that if you haven't yet. But real quick, what G-Flux means is basically if you take in a lot more calories than you normally need to go throughout your day, but then you burn those calories through exercise, you're going to have a completely different body composition, more muscle, less fat, and you're a completely different athletic ability than a person who just takes in fewer calories and burns fewer calories, okay? Now, the first thing that people might say about this is, oh, it's so you just need to take in a lot of calories and exercise a lot. Well, what about marathon runners? How come they're not jacked? I mean, marathon runners take in like 1 million calories a day and they burn like 1 million calories a day, so they should be jacked, right? And the answer is, of course, no, because you still have to be specific about your training, okay? You still have to be certain that your training reflects the results that you want. So yes, a marathon runner who takes in, an extra 1,000 calories a day and burns an extra 1,000 calories a day is going to have a completely different body composition and completely different athletic ability, an ability to run, than somebody who, it calls himself a marathon runner, but he only takes in, the calories he needs to go throughout his day, and he doesn't exercise, okay? They might have the same weight if they both stay at their caloric maintenance, but the body composition is going to be different, and the athletic ability is going to be completely different, okay? Now, if you want to become a marathon runner, train like a marathon runner. Okay, if you want to be a bodybuilder, then train like a bodybuilder. So you still have to be very specific about what you do. So yeah, most of what you're going to do if you want to look like a bodybuilder is going to be lifting weights. Now, the second question that's probably going to come up is overtraining. Okay, people are going to say things like, oh, so you expect me to burn 1,000 calories a day through, bodybuilding? How am I going to lift weights for 5 hours a day, 7 days a week? That's going to be overtraining. And you're right, that probably will be overtraining, okay? However, you don't have to just lift weights, okay? And that's something that, G-Flux, the concept of G-Flux is big on. And that's also something that, kind of disproves the concept of overtraining. A lot of people say, well, you could only lift weights for 45 minutes. You got to be in and out of the gym in 45 minutes. And that's not necessarily true. So what I do is I spend a couple hours in the gym, okay? I only lift weights for maybe 30 or 45 minutes, but I spend a couple hours in the gym. Now, I would probably be overtrained too if I spent 2 hours just lifting weights every single day, but I don't do that. Let me say I go into the gym and I do weighted pull-ups and body weight dips to warm up for my weighted dips, and then I do some body weight dips to burn out after I did my weighted dips. And all of that because I take long rest breaks and I do short, intense sets with heavy weights. That takes maybe 30 to 45 minutes. And I certainly can't do that for hours on end, or I'd lose the intensity. I wouldn't be able to go as heavy, as hard with the simple basic exercises, the simple compound weighted calisthenics exercises I do if I were to do that for hours on end. However, does that mean that I can't do my isometrics? If I'm bridging and I'm planking, I'm working, first of all, isometrics are completely different from calisthenics, completely different from weighted calisthenics. It's a completely different exercise, and it breaks the muscles down in a completely different way because you're not moving. Second, what am I doing with bridging and planking? Well, I'm either balancing like on my head, on my shoulders, on my elbows, whatever, okay? Completely different muscle groups. I'm working on like my sides, my core, my serratus, my neck, my traps. None of this stuff is getting worked when I'm doing dips, okay? Now, after that, I can go ahead and I can do some jump rope intervals, which works a completely different part of my body. First of all, yes, it does work your shoulders, okay? Believe me, doing jump rope intervals, you're going to notice that jump rope works your upper body as well as your lower body, but it works it in a completely different way. It's not, as heavy as I can possibly go for sets of 5 reps, okay? It's a completely different way to train your body. Then after that, I got to stretch a little bit, and I go ahead and do some karate on the back. So what I'm basically saying is I'm working different muscle groups in different ways, and the total accumulated time is a couple hours. The total accumulated calories are several hundred. So I might do weighted calisthenics, upper body twice a week, lower body twice a week. Now I've got 3 extra days. So what do? Well, what do you say I get on the treadmill and run? I usually walk for 5 minutes, run for 20 minutes, and always try to increase the pace. And then I walk for another 5 minutes to cool down. And then I do some more karate on the back. So I've got, I'm working out 7 days a week, but there are 3 different workouts that I'm doing. So I'm always giving my body a time to rest. So I'm not working like, let's say heavy weighted calisthenics for longer than 30 to 45 minutes, nor am I working my jump rope intervals, my burpee intervals. I'm not running on the treadmill for longer than 30 to 45 minutes. I'm not doing karate for longer than 30 to 45 minutes, but I am chaining this stuff all together. So, like I said, I'll do like 20 minutes of isometrics, 20, 30 minutes of cardio, 30 to 45 minutes of weights, and then I'll do 30 to 45 minutes of karate, and that all adds up to a huge caloric burn. Now, the reason why that's so important is, like I said, with G-Flux, I'm taking a lot more calories and I'm burning them through exercise. So how would my neck be as strong as it is if I didn't directly train my neck? How would my, calves be as strong as they are if I didn't do all these jump rope intervals? How would my endurance be as good as it is if I didn't do the treadmill, if I didn't do the burpees, if I didn't do the jump rope intervals? Okay, these are all things that need to be trained specifically to get the effect that you want. And by keeping down, like people these days say, oh, well, just do as little as possible and keep your diet tight and you don't have to do cardio. That's true. But if you want to have good cardio power, if you want to actually have the endurance, you need to do cardio. You don't need to train your neck, but if you don't train your neck, it's not going to be strong. Okay? You don't need to do, train your core. You don't need to do a sport. But if I don't train my karate, I'm obviously going to lose my skills. So what it basically comes down to is, by doing all these different exercises, I'm going to work different muscle groups, different energy systems, different, physical athletic abilities in my body. And then, of course, to support all this, I need to take in a lot more food, but I'm still not getting fat because at the end of the day, I'm at maintenance, just like a guy who needs, X number of calories to go throughout his day, and he makes sure he doesn't go over on those calories, doesn't need to exercise to stay at his body weight. I stay at the same body weight as well, even though I burn a lot more calories because I take in a lot more calories. And like I said, we're both staying at our body weight, but if I didn't do any of these exercises, I wouldn't look or perform or be nearly as healthy as I am because of them.